Hi everyone, Aiden here at the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the RockyMounts AfterParty and seeing how it fits on our 2023 Subaru Outback. The AfterParty is a swing-away platform style bike rack. The platform style means it's going to sit on top of the rack. This one holds it in these long trays and by each tire using this dual wheel mount design. Very nice because it doesn't make any contact with the frame, making it good for carbon frame bikes like we have loaded up right now, alternative frame bikes, or with a 60-pound weight capacity per bike, even good for some e-bikes. And the swing away is going to be the way that the bike rack moves. This is put on an arm that actually swings completely out from your vehicle to give full unhindered access to the hatch of the Outback. There's a hand knob at the back at the bottom right here, which we can loosen up, and it will need to be unthreaded a little bit. And once it releases, you'll kind of feel it pop, and you can feel it pop out a little bit. There's a pin back up here towards the front a little bit. Probably hard to see on camera, but it's blue, so you can find it pretty easily. Swing it out. It'll lock in at that 90 degree, and then keep swinging that arm out, and a secondary pin will lock right here. A full 180 degree rotation, giving us, like I said, full unhindered access to the back of our Outback. So if you're using this maybe on a camping trip and we're going to park our vehicle and just have it sitting here for a long period of time, this is a great way to just have your bikes loaded up. They're locked up, ready to go whenever you want to go ride, but it's not in your way either. If you need to have some stuff out of the back, you can, or it just gives you a good place to sit down and change your shoes before or after your ride, which I really like. Then closing the hatch back up, we can get everything swung back in. We'll start off with this middle pin, pulling it up to release the arm, and then pulling the outer pin to release the rack. Once both are released, I like to switch to the outside here and just push it the rest of the way in. And we'll feel that one pin on the outside edge lock back in on the swing away arm, and we can thread in the handle on the back. That threading will make sure it's rock solid, and even though it's a pretty large moving piece, it's going to stabilize it and make sure it doesn't shake around whenever driving down the road. Now, if you're thinking that's a lot of access or a lot of steps to get access to the back of your vehicle, you'd be right, but there is a quicker way to do it if we're in a parking lot and we don't have the room or just don't want to take the time to fully swing it out. The handle at the back end can be pulled to tilt the rack away, much like a typical platform style rack, giving you pretty much the exact same result, access to the back hatch. So if you're at the grocery store and you just need somewhere to quickly toss your grocery bags in, close up, and head out, you can do that. And you don't have to worry about extra steps to do that because your bike can just stay on the rack. Lifting it back into place, I will say it does tilt pretty aggressively, so if you have it fully loaded, you'll probably want to watch out for that, but it's not too hard. Getting the bike unloaded is really straightforward too. Down at the trays, we're going to have two blue levers, which we can push in to release the tension and flip up to fully disengage the ratcheting mechanism. When you're tightening these down, they can get pretty snug, and that's why we don't want to just instantly flip the lever up, because it's probably going to be pretty difficult. So breaking the tension helps a lot for the unloading process, and then we can just lift it up and away. Now, because there's no center mast and those arms swing out as wide as we need them to, nothing's in our way for loading and unloading, making the process really straightforward. And then just fold the arms back down when you're done, being sure to flip that blue lever to re-engage the ratcheting mechanism. I'll flip it right here and we can see how that works. That'll cinch down on our tires and hold them tight wherever they sit. And at this point, I like to get some measurements. We'll start off with our ground clearance. Right away, we can see there's a really good rise in the shank, and the trays are staggered with the back one sitting up higher, helping with bike-to-bike contact, but also improving our ground clearance. So at the back end, the lowest point is about 25 inches from the ground. So I'd say we don't have to worry about ground clearance at all with this. Steep driveways and hills, maybe even some rougher trails if we're off-roading, going camping, we don't have to worry about that with this. And then for the distance it adds to the back of our Outback, I'm going to go from the bumper to the outer edge. This is actually coming in at 29.5 inches, maybe a little closer to 30 inches. which for a 2-bike rack is really solid. I'd say it's right on par with all the other ones we've tested, maybe even a little bit lower, so it does sit quite condensed to the vehicle, which is nice. We can fold it up though when it's not in use, so if we want to leave this in the hitch between rides, we can do that, and it saves a lot of space. Coming in now at only 15 inches from the back bumper, this outer handle doesn't stick out too far, and it makes it a lot easier to pull into a parking space with something like this still in the hitch. With it in the folded state though, I will say that it's a large bike rack, and this center bit and the trays pretty much completely block our license plate and our backup camera. So do be mindful of that when we're driving around. But one nice thing is it doesn't block your taillights in the folded state, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. And then when you have bikes loaded up, obviously that's going to be a bit of an obstruction too. But in this folded state between rides, that's what you're working with. Down at the hitch, it's working with our 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube and comes with a locking anti-rattle bolt. The anti-rattle keeps it nice and solid in the hitch, no shake or play there, and the lock is key-like to a locking point up top. The bike rack does come with a pretty heavy-duty chain, which drops into a slot in the top tray, and then locks on the outside right here. So we can lock our bikes to the rack, and the rack to the vehicle. And for me, the AfterParty is a really solid rack. It's a personal favorite of mine, and for many others down here in the shop. If you don't think you need that swing-away feature, but you still like the bike rack, don't worry, you can get the RockyMounts guide rail. It's pretty much the exact same thing, but without the swing-away arm, and it works really well on the Subaru Outback, and we've tested that already. So whichever one you go with, I think it's going to be a really fine fit and a really nice bike rack for a wide range of bikes. Thanks for watching.